That is Simply Focus mit Elfie Czerny and Dominik Godat.
Welcome back to the Simply Focus podcast, The Good Life Approach, your podcast for a life in joy and ease. This is episode number 14, and we are
Elfie Czerny
and Dominik Godat. Hi there. Today we will reflect on interviews we did so far in this podcast. We had 13 podcasts and 8 interviews. In this episode we'll take the first 4, the one with Jonathan D. Sherman, Monica Rotmer, Pamela King and Stephen Langer.
And we will share with you what inspired us with these podcasts and how they influenced our journey, what differences the ideas made for us in our daily life, and just enjoy a nice conversation.
And that's what we had with all the people on the podcast so far. But we spent a great time with them. We not only recorded the podcast, but also were their guests and enjoyed being part of their families. This was one of the most valuable things
of the podcasts and actually of our journey, to really have the opportunity to spend time together, to get to know each other, to explore ideas together. I still remember sitting with Stephen and Kathy till 1 o'clock in the morning and just discussing ideas about Wittgenstein, which you and Stephen did, and while Bibiana and I were in bed already, the next day I discussed with Kathy, and the same with Pamela, the same with Monica, the same with Jonathan. It's just amazing.
And we had mac and cheese for the first time at Jonathan's house with his family.
Thank you, Kara. This was one of the huge highlights of the journey for me.
Right now we're in Whistler. We arrived 2 days ago from Vancouver Island, took the ferry to Vancouver, and had a great day yesterday in Vancouver.
Now we're looking forward to head on to Jasper, Banff, Calgary, and then further west to Toronto.
And tomorrow we're looking forward to do the peak-to-peak ride with the gondola here.
Yeah.
So Elfie, what inspired you in the podcast with Jonathan?
One of the things that inspired me a lot was the logo, the brand, which Jonathan does once a year with the I Love Kara logo. And with the whole idea for me that change is happening all the time. So the promise he said he gave to Kara like 26 years ago now was I love you. And so this I love Kara will always stay, and it will stay in the same letters. But the logo itself will change, and this reflects a lot to me that change is happening all the time, and that change is happening all the time in relationships. And I often hear people saying, you know, my partner changed and now our relationship doesn't work anymore. But is it really the partner who changed, or is it just, a natural change in the relationship because we have our focus on different things? We are in contact with different people who inspire us differently. We do different things. And by that, of course, our relationship changes as well, which is a good thing, I guess, as long as we look on what we want and what changes are good changes in terms of what we as a couple understand by what a good relationship, what a great relationship means to us. And this was one of the things which inspired me a lot to ask you, Dominik, a few days ago, to just look on our preferred future. Where are we right now? And to reflect on that.
What I also love about the logo that Jonathan has on his chalk bus every year is that it's a promise. That's what you said too. It's a promise to Kara, and it's a constant appreciation, constant behavior in the direction that they want the relationship to be and to go. So this really shows not only the reciprocity, but also that a relationship is something we do.
Yeah, something we do and something worth reflecting on from time to time. So I was very much reminded also to check from time to time, to check in as a couple and to see, are we on the right track? Are we still, is it okay that you're mostly driving? I mean, I guess here, yes, this is what you usually say when I ask you. But yeah, is it okay that you take care of the RV in the outside and I'm more in the inside, that I do the laundry and you do all these organizational things, that I write the emails, or is it what you should do right now? And just to check in from time to time and see, are we doing things the way we want to do it? Are we doing things the way, well, that we just have fun together, that we can have this joy and ease in our life and not struggle with the daily things? And I guess this is a lot about interacting in a certain way and discussing things and how do we want it? And if no one wants to do it, well, okay, what do we want instead?
I think it's this constant solution-focused reflection in terms of, like you said, about preferred future, but looking at what works and then amplifying those useful changes.
Yes, and this also reminds me so much on Jonathan calls his company Marriage Envy, with the idea to show other people his marriage and to encourage them to look at their own marriage in a way where they look out to the outside and say, okay, wow, this is a great relationship, but not as great as my relationship. And this as well reminded me of, this week I received an email newsletter from our dear friend Rima Nouri, a real elegant alchemist, and you can subscribe to her newsletter actually on www.rimanouri.com, which I highly recommend if you're interested in leading an elegant life. And in her newsletter this week, she reminded me in a very lovingly way to look on what we have, what others don't have, instead of looking what others have, what we don't have. And this is such a tiny little change in perspective. It's so powerful.
And we just did that today on the drive from Vancouver to Whistler. It was amazing to see what makes our relationship and our life at the moment really special. If we compare in this way, it's very uplifting and very fast you're connected through those elements that you find when asking yourself those questions.
And it starts, or it's easy to kind of walk the talk.
It has very much to do with appreciation, and Jonathan mentioned that a few times. He said, if there is one thing that I would teach, just one thing, then it would be appreciation. Not only appreciate what is there, but also appreciate each other, and then having this appreciative view on each other. We mostly say listening for the brilliance of the other person. And it's this appreciative view, not only in giving appreciation, but also in listening and then asking questions. And this connects well to the podcast with Monika Rotner, a solution-focused leader. When we did our workshop there, we saw so much appreciation there, didn't we?
Oh my gosh, yeah. The whole team is really good in appreciating each other, in appreciating the work, in seeing what works, and in being committed to go in the direction they committed to go.
And there's a high commitment created through the process that they describe in this podcast, where they had 13 people in the beginning talking about the preferred future and then inviting others to join in and really creating this environment where people and all the people who work there know about solution focus and have solution focus as their normal way of conversation in this organization. And for me, it was so inspiring to see how normal this is, especially how normal it is for Monika to ask a miracle question, for example, or how normal it is to ask scaling questions, and just doing it and, well, believing in those not only techniques, but also in the stance.
Yeah, and when we talk about stance, it's a lot about, I think, staying curious. And this was the one thing, what Monika said, the one thing to take away, if there was one thing. And I fully agree with her, because the moment we stay curious, we in a kind of not knowing position, it's so much easier to ask questions and to listen for the brilliance of others. And this was what we discussed, and this is what still inspires me in that way, that I think I cannot remind myself enough on staying curious for the magic moments during the day, and staying curious for you, Dominic, having me surprising. I'm staying curious about what Bibi does today, how she reacts to things. Well, really go into this kind of not knowing position, and in maybe not knowing necessarily, but really in this curiosity and in this openness to kind of miracles.
It shows very well that we and all those people that we interviewed really see the others as experts for their life. Like Monika saw their employees as experts for their life, for their job. They saw themselves as experts for their organization. and really use this expertise by asking questions to come up with next steps, with ideas to go into the wished for direction.
What I truly love with Monica is how much she sees herself as a role model, and she realizes the influence she has on others, on the one hand, and on the other hand, her openness to being inspired by others. And this is actually, leads me to Pamela King, because she as well is for me a master in inspiring others and in, open herself up for being inspired by others. By her clients, by the children she works with, by companies, by the people she does trainings with, by us, by everyone, I guess.
Yeah, this shows when she says observe and notice. This curiosity that we talked about, this seeing others as experts, seeing kids as experts. And isn't it amazing that those kids that she works with come up with their own ideas when we manage to communicate with them in their preferred way? Pamela does it through play, and others might do it in different ways.
Yeah, and isn't that what we realized with Bibiana? I mean, I'm so inspired by Pam's work that I just, realized she said this one sentence: children are much more likely to have verbal communication if they are playing. And this just sticks with me. It's like we went to an Italian restaurant. We didn't wait long. It was great service and everything. But we sat there at the table, and while waiting for the food, Dominik and I were discussing some things, and we wanted to enjoy a round of highlights. So, we tried to invite Bibi, and she was sitting here and with the crayons, and she wanted to go to another table, as she usually loves to talk to other people. And then we started doing this highlight round with crayons, and we took this glass where the crayons were in, and I took the glass and asked Bibi to take one and share with us what she liked today, what she enjoyed today. And all of a sudden she just took a crayon and said, I enjoyed today that Daddy played with me in the morning, or something like that. And then it was Dominik's take, and he took a crayon and laid it next to the one Bibi had, and then it was my take, and it was so easy to do this turn taking. And oh my gosh, she played with us for, I guess, half an hour.
Yeah, and time passed very fast. And Elfie is an expert in letting herself inspire by playful things and then applying those to our everyday life, like, for example, the good night ritual.
Yeah, so we invented a new good night ritual. We have these face towels, and washing the face is often a topic. And today I took the face towel, which is a little mermaid, and we had this awesome discussion, the mermaid and Bibi. And the mermaid wanted to kiss Bibi, and by that she helped her kissing the strawberries she had around her mouth away. And it was really fun to do that, and she knew, of course, that the mermaid is cleaning her, but she agreed in this game that the mermaid is allowed to do that.
So a lot of playful activities inspired by Pamela King, a time we had there with her.
And her great book.
It also reminds me of the way Bibiana learned skiing. It was very much about getting out of the way of her learning.
And this is exactly what we had with the bike these days. So she didn't want to ride the bike, and we thought, okay, so it was a good memory back when she went skiing that she just decided to do it, and then she did it. And we thought, okay, maybe this is the same with the bicycle, so it's just not the right time now. And a few days ago she came and said, now I want to ride my bike. And she just got on the bike, and she didn't want any one of us to join her. She just wanted to go with the bike with her friend and have fun.
Yeah, like Pamela says, observe and notice what they're already doing and follow them, and they get to the right spot. Kind of follow their flow, their path.
And it wasn't that easy to let her go because she couldn't use the brakes, at least in my understanding, not in hers actually.
And these things that we just mentioned might not fit for you. Maybe others might, or maybe others will. What we learned is to follow Bibiana as an expert for her life and to look what works and do more of that and really amplify those useful changes.
Yeah, to look what she loves to play with, to look what she is doing right now and building on that. And this means for me also co-creating the games with her together. It wasn't my idea with the crayons in the restaurant. It was just what was there and what worked in this moment. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it works tomorrow.
Yeah, so staying curious about what they want and doing more of that. And that's exactly...
I think about what they want and also what we want. And this is very helpful for me sometimes to stay curious about what I want as well. So it's really helpful to stay persistent in being curious in whatever areas of life.
And that's exactly what Stephen Langer has been doing for the last 35 years. And still his fascination for solution focus is so big. And that's very inspiring for us and hopefully also for all you out there. Doing solution focus for such a long time and still being fascinated how people come alive and how they suddenly come up with what they want, find out what already works, and enjoying this joy of watching how they kind of transform in your conversation.
And in seeing the small things and focusing on the tiny little things that make a huge difference in everyday life, because it's the things we usually do, or maybe little things we change, and by that change a conversation, by that change a moment to a more joyful moment. And putting the focus on these little things where we can make a difference is something I see Stephen doing in every interaction, and Kathy as well. So this is just amazing to see the two of them, how they really make a huge difference with a lot of little things.
Yeah, you can see his focus on small things when you listen to the story and his fascination to tell how his clients come alive. And for example, the story of the lady he had in a session who got out of bed differently on the day of the miracle, and she just put one leg out of the bed, and he says, well, the most logical thing to do is to kind of put your other leg out of the bed too. So just one leg out of the bed would look kind of stupid. So small thing, small change that leads to bigger change.
A small change in ordinary things. This is something I really like, and this is what I very much liked with his challenge, which is still inspiring me to look at least once a week, and I think, well, it can even be more often, to do something for you, Dominik, or for Bibi, which doesn't cost money, but just looking in your eyes in a lovingly way, or giving you a hug, kissing you, giving Bibi a hug, or sharing with her that I liked what she's doing, that I'm so happy to be her mother, that I'm honored that she's my daughter, how proud I am. All these little things, well, and then keep doing them.
And also trying them out. I loved it when Stephen said, well, it's like trying out new clothes, and you see what fits. And the same with his fascination for the different SF techniques that have been developed over the last 45 years, and how he uses things that were developed in the 80s, like exception seeking, problem-free talk, miracle question, tasks, etc., and also the more recent ones like Brief's Best Hopes question or Tomorrow question, and just plays around with them and experiments. And he as a scientist says, well, experiments are, well, a sample, and then you can find out what fits and do more of that.
This is one of the things I also very much enjoyed, this perspective of seeing experiments as kind of scientific experiments and then go for what works.
And now we're curious what worked for you. So what has inspired you in those 4 podcasts, episode number 5, 7, 8 and 9?
And of course, what inspired you in our today's podcast, 14.
So we're looking forward to your comments on www.sfontour.com/simplyfocuspodcast.
Your voice matters, and what inspires you might make a vital difference for someone else. So we truly invite you to share your inspirations, to share what you tried out, to share what you liked and what worked for you with us in the comments field, and well, by that inspiring others to keep on going their solution-focused journey.
And with this, you also help us to get to our best hope, or one of our best hopes from this podcast. Just before we started, we talked about our best hopes from this podcast. And one thing that Elfie said was that one hope is that people comment even more that not only we, but also other people that go to the website can see what inspired you, what you did with that, what worked for you, so that they can do more of that or find inspiration in what you say. So using this friend power.
Yeah, and if you like and enjoy our podcast, subscribe on
iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Blueberry, and other platforms. Just go to our website and there you find the way to describe that fits you best.
So not only subscribe to our podcast if you haven't done it yet, but also share it with others, because maybe there's something in for them as well.
So thank you for listening to episode number 14, Reflection on 4 podcasts.
We're looking forward to seeing you next week. Bye.
Goodbye. And now we're So Elfie, what inspired you?
Okay. We are talking about